A few years ago, we made a promise, and pretty much everybody that Kylie and I know has broken that promise. Promise to our families that hasn't quite played out the way we thought that it would. Today, we unpack that promise and explore why your child feels hurried. What are you laughing at?
I'm looking at the notes that you've passed across the table here, and I was trying to work out why we were talking about curried children.
Show me the notes.
Well, I've changed it now.
That doesn't look like... Oh, I am a doctor. Doctors can't... I'm not that kind of doctor, but I'm going to... Welcome to the Happy Families podcast, Real Parenting Solutions, every day on Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast.
Were you hungry when you wrote this?
We are Justin and Kylie Coulson, and today we are not talking about Hurried Child Syndrome. We are... That sounds really, really damagingly bad. That sounds cannibalistic. Today we're talking about Hurried Child Syndrome, the broken promise. Let's talk about that. During COVID, everyone said, my goodness, as much as we recognise that COVID has brought with it many hardships, we like slow life. I mean, that was the overwhelming conversation that everyone was having. It's so nice to not have to be driving everywhere, doing so much. Life is good. We're never going back to our overscheduled lives. Said every family.
And even from a connection point of view, while we missed connection, I think sometimes there is so much connection in our lives that it was really nice to take a back seat with all of that. And not have to.
Not everybody feels the same way about COVID, but most people that we've spoken to have said it was so nice. Unfortunately, we have pretty much all broken the promise. We've all gone back to... research shows that parents are more stressed, burnt out, worried, anxious than ever before, and kids are following suit. Kids' mental health is declining. They're not doing as well because, at least in part, there is so much going on.
So, a little bit of a sidetrack, but I'm wondering whether or not everybody felt like that about COVID, because it's kind of like a holiday. Right? You get to have a break from your real life, but the reality is you wouldn't actually choose to live like that forever.
I don't know. We've made an intentional decision to try, and for the last couple of years we've been homeschooling, well, two kids and now just one child, and I feel like we got a lot. Well, maybe you and I haven't because we are still extremely busy, but our daughter is unhurried. So our homeschooling daughter has slowed her life right down, and we've seen, commensurate with that, an increase in well-being, confidence, resilience. This delightful child who was really going downhill before we made the call to do it. Not that today's podcast is an advertisement for homeschooling. That's not what it's about, but rather slowing things down. Let me tell you about Hurried Child Syndrome. There's a guy called Dr. David Elkind, and he came up with the concept quite a long time ago. Key characteristics: kids being pushed to behave like mini adults, accelerated academic expectations, overscheduled activity calendars, early exposure to adult issues. So kids are growing up way too fast, often because parents aren't present and kids are on screens or doing a whole lot of things that, we're not around to help them to stretch out and slow down their childhoods.
And I guess the flow-on effect of that is that they start behaving like little adults.
Yeah, that's right, which kind of works out reasonably well for us because the less we have to supervise them, the happier we are because we've got so much going on ourselves because we're so hurried and flustered. But the little bit of research that I've been able to scrounge up around this highlights that if our children are experiencing a hurried childhood, and it's not just about being busy. It's about early exposure. It's about high expectations. You've got to be a little adult because you're walking and talking and we can communicate now. Physical and mental health impacts, sleep deprivation, poor eating habits, anxiety, depression, less resilience. The one that worries me the most that I found was feeling unworthy when failing to meet expectations. In other words, a hurried childhood can make children feel like they're supposed to be perfect, and perfectionism is perhaps one of the most damaging forms of anxiety.
You think about the comparison trap that nearly the entire human race falls into at some point. And if you have children comparing their capacity, their achievements, their talents, their strengths against adults and the adult world, there's no competition. Of course, the adults are going to be better at those things. It's a really, really tricky place for a child to be.
And they're not just comparing themselves upwards, they're comparing themselves sideways as well. And I think this is part of the reason we've returned to the rush, because when our child's not doing so well, they feel like they're failing, but we also feel like we're failing. And when our child has lots of successes, we feel like we're winning, like we're great parents because our children are doing well as well. I want to talk about why we returned to the rush. And I reckon it's partly because there's this competitive parenting culture that's only accelerating. I don't think that it existed nearly the way that it does today, even 10 or 15 years ago. I feel as though there is this competitive parenting culture that I'm seeing when I'm in and out of schools and in and out of workplaces and giving talks. Parents really, really, really understandably want their children to fulfill their potential.
And it starts as babies.
Yeah, of course it does, because the conversations are, well, my child's doing this earlier than yours. My child's walking, my child's making sounds with their mouths, whatever it is. It's not fair on parents. It's not fair on the kids. We're really concerned about our kids falling behind academically or socially. Again, not fair, not healthy. I'll tell you why, because schools are not the best environments for everybody to be learning, and some kids just hate it there. Doesn't mean that they can't live successful lives. I failed high school. Like, I scored in the bottom 15% of the state. I've got a PhD. I've written 10 books. I've got a TV show and Australia's most downloaded parenting podcast. We know at least 3 people who essentially failed high school and then went on to become medical doctors. Like, they managed to get back into uni when they were in their mid-20s or early 30s, and now they're practicing doctors. And it's got nothing to do with intelligence failing school. It's got everything to do with motivation. This is not an ability thing. The addictive nature of busyness is a status symbol. I think that we're doing all of these things. And again, not to push the homeschool barrow too hard, but by making the choice to homeschool our kids, we kind of stepped out of all of that. There's no competition from a parenting point of view. There's no worries about falling behind academically or socially, because you just teach your kids at home and they work it out. And if they don't, you come back to the lesson again tomorrow and you just keep doing the same lesson until they've got it. Like, it changes the game and it slows down their childhood. After the break, we're going to share 3 solutions that can help you to slow childhood down and remove the Hurried Child Syndrome from your child's life. Okay, Kylie, 3 things. We've chewed up a lot of time already, so we're going to go through these fairly quickly. 3 things that we can do to help our children feel less hurried in their lives. Let's kick it off.
The first one is my favourite. It's play. This is really tricky for lots of parents because we grew up with parents who did not play with us, and therefore it feels foreign for parents specifically to get involved with their child's play.
Yeah.
But facilitating opportunities for our children to have free play, no structure, no outcomes, just be able to be kids.
So this is, you talk about hurried child. Now I'm going to step into hurried adult. No one's got time, especially if you're working in a family where either you're a single parent, so you're doing it all, or you're in a double income family where both parents are working full time, because to really play in an unstructured way requires the one thing that nobody has. Time. Yeah. You've got to be able to go down to the park and sit at the bench or sit on a rug and let the kids play with their friends. That means other families also need to have the time to show up at the park with you and let the kids go for it. And I'm talking kids from the age of 18 months up to 18 years. Like, and if it's not the park, maybe it's the beach, or maybe it's wherever. You're just going and doing things where you sit and the children explore, they play. 3 benefits to play that need to be hammered home, like really, really clearly hammered home. Number 1, the cognitive development. When children play in an open-ended, unstructured way, they have to solve problems, they have to be creative, they come up with stuff, and then they start to solve problems. They also have to get involved in really important socially, what's the word I'm looking for?
It's negotiation, it's communication, it's collaboration.
Exactly.
Like, there is so much going on from a social point of view when our kids come together. And sometimes we shy away from it because it's like, I don't want to have to deal with the drama. But
this is how they learn.
We actually don't have to deal with the drama.
Correct.
We have to allow the kids space to work through this.
And the third one is emotional development. This is where they learn to express their feelings in safe ways. They learn to understand other people's feelings. They learn to take perspectives. They understand empathy. They develop coping mechanisms because things don't always go the way that they would like them to go. Play. The number 1 way to unhurry childhood is to literally slow it down so that kids can be playing, especially with other kids, especially in unstructured activities.
Number 2 is about keeping our feet on the ground. It's a really great to have goals, aspirations, and desires for our children. But when it comes to the goals that we would set for our children specifically and the future that they might live, I think the key to this is it's not our goal. It's our kids' goal. And so working with them and helping them to tap into what's important to them, what are their strengths, what are the things that light them up, and moving forward in a positive trajectory in that way will make such a difference. Too many children are left feeling like, I really want to be an artist, but my mum and dad want me to be a lawyer, and I can't disappoint them.
One of my favourite interviews ever on the Happy Families podcast was with Emma McKeon, Australia's most decorated Olympic medalist. Her father was a Commonwealth swimmer, a Commonwealth Games medalist. Her parents own a swim school. Her mum was also a swimmer. So she's grown up in this, and her brother was also a swimmer. So she's grown up in this environment where swimming. And when I talked to her, I said, like, how did that go for you? And she said, my parents let me set my own goals. And the other thing she said is, I quit swimming several times, but I kept on going back because I liked the people and because I enjoyed being in the pool. But it was always self-determined. And as a result of that, she was able to achieve things that were important to her. Her parents were not saying, this is important to us. It's all on you. And she was able to self-reflect, especially in the downtimes when she wasn't in the pool, to realize, hang on, this is something that I really like. Now, I'm not sharing that so that we can all raise Olympians. I'm sharing it to highlight that we've got all these goals for our kids. The number of times I've spoken to parents who want their kids to be doctors or lawyers or engineers or dentists or whatever.
But it's because it's money driven.
Yeah, that's right.
We want our children to have financial success and therefore financial freedom.
It just pushes the kids way too hard. Let them figure it out. Like I said, we know doctors who never planned to be doctors and even failed high school.
Well, you never planned to do a university degree and end up where you are now. And
the idea that I would have a PhD was laughable.
Yeah, and I just think that if we can recognise and understand that all learning is good learning and our children are going to figure it out. And yes, it means that some of them are going to take the long way to get there, but the learning that takes place on that long journey, you can't buy that.
So the first one, make sure that the kid's playing a lot, unstructured play, playing with other kids. The second one, goals and aspirations. Like, don't worry about what your goals and aspirations are for your children because it's not your life, it's theirs. Just support them and talk to them about what it is that they value and what it is that they're working towards. Third one, final one.
This is one we all struggle with the most, a balanced schedule. When you think about Hurried Child Syndrome, the one thing that most of us are lacking is a balanced schedule. We're not getting enough sleep. We're not getting enough downtime. We're not getting enough connection, like real honest connection with people that matter in our lives. Those are the big rocks that literally transform a hurried life into one that feels balanced, real, and connective.
In season 1 of Parental Guidance, there was one family whose parenting style I won't mention, but they pushed their kids hard. They ate at least 5 meals per week in the car, ferrying the children from one activity to another. Now, it's great if your children want to be involved in lots of extracurricular activities.
Well, not only were they in the car, it wasn't the whole family's in the car. It's mum's in one car and dad's in another car.
With each child, yeah. So, I mean, limit... This is controversial, but limit extracurricular activities because unstructured is better. Of course, if the kids are saying, I want this, I'm thriving with this, I'm oriented towards it, and it's their choice, and you've got the time and resources, then I'm not going to push too hard against it.
But I also think our kids are caught up in a trap of comparison and competition as well. They see all of their friends doing these things and they want to be like everybody else. I look at Emily. We've been away now for 18 months out of school.
Oh, it's more.
And we wanted her to have extracurricular activities so that she was getting a rich, full education because she wasn't at school.
Yeah.
And one by one, she has literally taken them off her list. She loves the fact that her life is now
slow, unstructured. Yeah.
And every time I take her to another extracurricular activity, she feels hurried and harried.
So we want to not just unhurry our lives, we want to unharry our lives. If you know any Harrys, we clearly need to get rid of them. Unstructured play. Goals that are directed and determined by your children and a balanced schedule. Good luck. We know that this can help you to unhurry childhood. We know that it's good for their kids' mental health. We hope that this has been a helpful conversation. The Happy Families podcast is produced by Justin Rulon from Bridge Media. More information and resources to make your family happier are available at happyfamilies.com.au.